there was so many people I did wrong. There were so many choices and so many ways that I acted. I needed to be healed from all that. I can white knuckle my way through this stuff. And then ultimately that just steer me towards the source of it all, which is my faith and my belief that I need a savior. You can't save yourself.
So glad to have Jonathan Burton here for a conversation at the Georgia Bushcraft Fall Gathering. Jonathan, so good to be with you, brother.
Yeah, man. It's an honor. I'm happy to do this. I think it was something that was bound to happen. I think I lean more towards my grandparents, specifically my mom's grandparents. I'd go hunting with my dad's father, and mainly did everything else with my mom's father. My grandpa, FM, my mom's father, just was an outdoorsman through and through. Carried a national parks pass in his wallet next to his ID. Him and his wife went to every state except Alaska and Hawaii multiple times. I mean, they saw it all. He was a complete adventurer and big time fisherman. Didn't do a lot of hunting, but camped. So he was someone that kind of instilled in me the importance of spending time outside, and would take me fishing, like just random, before I was old enough to just answer the phone and talk to him. Like, would call, he called me Pistol Pete, and he'd say, hey, is Pistol Pete wanting to go fishing this morning? Or, Friday night, he'd say, hey, does he want to go fishing on Saturday? We'd go out for the day and go fishing. And he would just, looking back, he would casually show me things that now are like the most important. Like understanding how to use a pocket knife, why you need a pocket knife, cleaning a fish, or tying different knots, or like different kinds of tools on your vehicle, like just all that stuff. And it wasn't that my dad didn't do that, but my dad was just very much a different man. He complete musician through and through, like perfect pitch, like was in an orchestra in college, and just has played the organ at our church since he was 13.
Wow.
I mean, he is just insanely musically talented, but he only listens to classical music. And he sits there and literally like reads sheet music for entertainment. And everything that I was like, as a rambunctious boy, like wanting to do was more fulfilled with my grandpa's. My mom was just the heart and soul of the family, and she just always had an answer, just answer for everything. So anyways, like they were great. And I grew up in the church. My dad was a deacon, my grandpa was a deacon. Like I said, my dad played the organ for my hometown church and still does. And my mom was a substitute teacher that then went full-time and then eventually became a church secretary. So like every moment we did everything with church. Southern Baptist, strict, like sing from the hymnal. And it was just always like something that you do. It's ritualistic.
Mm-hmm.
I understood, and it was definitely a core guiding thing and principles in my life. And I always knew not only right and wrong, but like why. And no one ever, actually sat down and like went over biblical principles like that. But like, it was because it was just always, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, whatever, potluck, ice cream fellowship, this and that, like just, it was just always. And I think that's probably what led to me just completely like rebelling against it, because it didn't work.
The two things I'm hearing. One, something I want to celebrate As I've been getting to know you, I see the goodness of your grandfather, the goodness of your dad, and the goodness of your mom in you.
Oh, yeah.
The way that you impart skills to people like your grandfather imparted to you. You were an incredible musician, JB, and songwriter that you received from your dad. And you've got a big heart, man. You love people. And I can see how your mom's influence in your life in that way. And what a gift that you carry the good parts and have that part of your story that you were able to receive and carry that on even now in your life. I want to celebrate that.
Man, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I had for years and years, I had a lot of just bitterness that all these people were going and doing this thing, and I knew that it wasn't actually how their lives really were. And I knew that because I was completely involved in a youth group and leading worship for youth group, and was completely living a different life, an immoral life. And I was like, man, that's what everybody's doing. Like, no one's actually doing what they're saying. Like, there's a few guys that come up on stage that preach, that are genuinely good people, and I believe what they're saying. But everybody else is just showing up because they just think it's the right thing to do. And on top of that, I had bitterness of, like, you know, I didn't want to do what my dad wanted me to do in a path that he wanted, of, like, going to this college, being in a band, like, doing this plan. Like, you know, I was really good and completely consumed with a BMX bike, and had buddies that, you know, we were kind of that outsider group. I didn't want to go the planned route that, like, you think you know what's best for me and you don't, because you don't do anything that I do. You don't understand. You think that if it's not music, then it's a waste of time. And so I had guilt of, like, here I am going up on stage and doing this and leading people in worship, and I knew what that meant. I knew that that was an intimate thing that you're doing, and I was not living that life. And so I wanted to just move away and be somewhere that nobody knew who I was, and I could start over. I knew and had accepted Christ in my heart, and I knew what it meant to be a Christian, but because I didn't feel like anyone was actually living that life, I just was like, it doesn't mean anything. It's not real. And I didn't like how soft Christianity was for so many people. I was just lost. And the only person that would always like work through that difficult stuff with me, that always had my back, was my mom. I felt like. And there's times that, like, I literally think that she, like, prayed my way into heaven. Like, a friend that I was, you know, pretty close to in high school, and he happened to be the quarterback for our high school, called me and was like, where are you going to college? I'm like, I'm not. And he's like, well, I need a roommate. And I was like, okay, well, where are you going? And he's like, I moved to Dallas. I'm going to Dallas Baptist University. And I was like, Dallas is great. I've been to Dallas a few times, and there's a group of guys out there that are a part of a sponsored pro BMX team that, like, I could go and hang out with them. And, like, let's do it. So I applied there, and there's a couple of people in our church that I think helped donate money, like a scholarship. And then I also joined their, at the time it was called a Christian Leadership Scholarship that they did. And I showed up 2 weeks before semester started and applied for my classes, had never visited, nothing. And found out when I got there that the program and the degree that I wanted to get was only a master's level program, like a worship ministry program. And so they were like, hey, you can take either Christian studies or biblical studies, and that's going to kind of lead you into that realm if you want. And I was like, yeah, like whatever, sure. Like, let's just get this going. And yeah, started school and had no idea that like it was exactly what I was supposed to do.
Wow.
Like exactly. I met my wife there. I met lifelong friends. I had actual people that like came from the same background as me, were making the same choices, and just were trying to. It's just really weird. Like I feel like I can look at the 2 years of students that were brought into DBU at that time, and then when I was, getting ready to graduate, the kids that were coming in, and it's like our group was like an experiment of like really bad, crazy kids, and let's see how this works out. And it was a handful for them. I mean, there was a lot of wild stuff that happened that you wouldn't have thought would go on, but it was a big, almost mission outreach that, at the time, the people that were, the RAs and the dean and whatever were kind of taking a risk on, because I still kept doing a lot of the same crazy stuff. I just did it off campus. In fact, I did it more. I learned how to do even crazier stuff. The layout that they had for the scholarship program that I was a part of, like, required me to go to like so many hours of chapel a semester. And we had all kinds of people come through, like, that now, like, I mean, tons of people, like Carrie Job and Vadi Botcham and Shane and like Chris Tomlin one time, and like all these people. And there was just a focus on, like, and a couple of the RAs and the RD that I had, like, they would never get upset how we were acting. It was just always like, man, what's going on? Like, why? Like, I get it, but why? Like, what do you think this is going to do for you? Where do you think this is going to lead? Instead of just like, you're screwing up all the time. Like, why are you, like, quit doing this?
So instead of like judgment or condemnation, curiosity and conversation.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Before I left DBU, like the last year or so there, they brought on a guy that used to work there, and he was essentially my boss, but his name was Josh Yin, and he was just like the most godly person I'd ever met. Like, it was crazy. And we would drive around in that van around the university, waiting, like, fulfilling work orders and waiting for calls. And he was just steadily pouring into us and teaching us, like, stuff that no one had ever talked to me about, theology stuff. And, like, we would read books together, and, all the old, like, teaching me about all the old dead guys and stuff, like Edwards and Spurgeon and Calvin and, like, C.S. Lewis, and just, it was crazy. But I still was like, man, I'm learning all this stuff and I'm knowing all this, but it's just that. It's not changing me. So I met my wife, Jessica, there our sophomore year, and she had transferred in from a community college, and my suite mate and her came in at the same time, like their rush program where they introduce you to the campus, and they kind of help you become friends and integrate with people. And he would always just tell me, like, I think you and Jessica need to hang out. Like, I think you ought to have a lot of fun and whatever. And so we met each other through my roommate having the same class with her and them needing to study. And he didn't want to go up. Everybody would go to the IHOP to study because it was the only thing open 24 hours. And there's a couple of waitresses there that would give us free coffee and, like, crackers and ranch and stuff. And so he was like, dude, I don't want to go up there by myself with her because small school, and everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah. So he's like, dude, you just want to come up there and hang out? And I was like, yeah. And it was inevitable. He would always leave and bail. And then I would feel bad, like you're just going to leave her up here by herself. And so I would sit at a booth facing this way, and she'd sit at a booth facing the other way. And yeah, she was a psychology major. And so at first I was like, man, am I kind of like her, like, project, like her life? Like, I'm just sitting here talking to her about all this stuff, and she's like the most amazing listener ever. But it was genuine. Like, I don't know, for some reason, we got to be really good friends. We weren't really attracted to each other. She really didn't like me as a person, because, I mean, I was not a good person. And I wasn't attracted to her because the group that she hung out with was like a completely different, like, group than me. Like, they were all, the pretty girls on campus, and, just way out of my league. And so that friendship was something that I was like, man, like, she really cares for me, and I don't know why, but, I'm really grateful for it. And slowly that started turning for me, and I think it was a little bit longer for her. And so when the end of DBU started coming about, obviously I'm thinking, like, she really helped me with, like, saying no to people. I'm not going to go out and party. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not, like, helping me understand, like, the consequences of, yeah, you're not getting caught, you're not getting in trouble, but you're also not, like, becoming a better person. Like, you're not accomplishing things that you want to accomplish. And also around this time, I realized I did not want to work in a church. People found out pretty soon about me playing music and singing, and so part of it became, like, volunteer opportunities for churches. And then I actually was hired and was working for a church that was in a transitional phase from getting from where they were into a bigger building. And we're meeting in a movie theater, and I kind of saw all this stuff that I just was like, man, it's no different.
Yeah.
And then
same resistance, same kind of negative vibe.
Yeah.
Different context.
Yeah. And then I'm still completely living, like, if there was a way for someone to, like, shine a light on what I'm doing outside of church and what I'm doing at the church, it would not make any sense. Like, you're living completely different than what you're telling these people. And I was like, I'm going to change my major. And so I switched my major over to business management, entrepreneurship. Got a job working for the university in their physical operations department. We just basically helped move old furniture, set up for events. We went around and helped the maintenance guys at the campus, and just kind of all the guts and stuff of the campus, how it all works. And I thought I loved it. I thought that was going to be, like, they were already telling me, if you want to stay on board, we can get you started in the master's program, and pay for it, but you will work full time here. And I thought that was what I was going to do. I proposed to my wife, and we were engaged for about a year. And then, they just were like, hey, we're not going to have you on full time when you're getting ready to graduate. I don't think they had room or the payroll or something. And so they let me go. And then here I am getting ready to not only, my wife was going to graduate in May. I was supposed to graduate in August in 2009. And then we were getting married in September, and I don't have a job.
That's a lot in a short period of time.
And so, I was just back at, like, where do I go? Like, what do I do? Here I am again, the same as what it was at the end of high school. And now I'm committed to this person, and still kind of doing, like, what I was doing, but just by myself now. Just steadily just drinking, like, all the time, suppressing everything, not handling it. Yeah, I kind of just did some odd jobs. I worked with a welder for a while that was contracted out by university. And then when that stuff started becoming more like we're going to be traveling and be gone for a month or two at a time for work, I didn't want to leave because I was brand new married. I didn't want to be gone for 2 months living out of a trailer, working for a welder. And I just kind of bounced around from job to job. I started playing music again, recorded some stuff, and had a bunch of shows all over the DFW. Got hired by a distillery in Pilot Point to play music up there for them 2 or 3 times a month. And yeah, it just kind of everything just all kind of blended together. I wasn't really doing anything that I was proud of, or for sure like my grandpa would have been proud of. I wasn't really using any skills or anything that I felt like lit me on fire. But all the while I'm just in denial about it. All the while I'm like, man, I'm married to a beautiful woman and she loves me and we love each other and we're getting by, we're paying our bills. We're not going through all this stuff that other couples that we hear about go through. We're not screaming and yelling at each other. You know, everything's fine. And yeah, it just being numb, you know.
So what was the wound? What have you discovered?
Several. I don't think I've realized for me it wasn't just one thing that just, like, I can think back and man, that's what it was. Like, for people that might have dealt with like abuse, like, or whatever it might be, like, for me it was tons of little cuts that I was bleeding from, like, that I didn't care to have mended. I've always had a struggle with the approval of man because I felt like I didn't get it from my dad. Bitterness towards him. Early on in college, not even being there for a year, my best friend and my brother that, you know, my parents did a lot to take care of and would, you know, essentially live with us for weeks at a time, was in the military and he was killed and I didn't understand why. Not addressing that I had a physical problem with substances and just not loving myself, like, just not ever thinking, like, always thinking that you're not enough, no one takes you serious, you need to prove people wrong. So just all those things that would just constantly, if one thing wasn't cutting me, or if I would look at myself and I'm like, oh man, I'm not bleeding from that today, there would be something else somewhere else, you know. All the while, man, like, all the while I knew, because there'd be multiple people coming in and out of my life, all the while I knew where and what it was that I needed to be healed from all that. But I was just Jonah and just ran.
Yeah.
Ego, pride, like, I know more, I can do better, I can white knuckle my way through this stuff. And
There's so much hurt, Jonathan. So much pain that you were holding on to and that was weighing you down as well.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And all of those are just real easy entry points for the enemy to attack you. And, you know, those kind of things are things that also that people can see you every day and never know it. You can be the happiest person in the room. And you can like make everybody else laugh, make sure everybody else is having a good time.
And in your case, be up on a stage or a platform and not be seen.
Yeah, and then people think because you're doing that things are great. And then people almost expect it from you. Like, oh, that's the dude. Like even now, like I stopped playing music for a long time because I would come to stuff like this and they're like, oh, that's the dude that plays music and sings. Like, did you bring your guitar? All of this stuff started, like I started playing guitar. I started doing art and creativity stuff and doing like creating videos, and like all of that were ways for like those were all for me. And slowly they become like drainage points for everyone else to like pull from you. And you're constantly letting everyone just plug into you and drain you all the time. And then your source of getting energy back and refilling yourself is drinking, numbing yourself, retreating, like just becoming a hermit and not ever letting anyone actually know you, and just being fake, like just living a lie. It's so fleeting. Like you give so much to be loved and accepted and approved, and then like the next week everybody's moved on to something else. And you chase it. Like, man, I know I'm good at riding my bike. I know I can do this and this and this. I know I can play and sing. I know I can. And you're just like, man, why don't, like, I'm not even doing it for myself anymore. Like, and it's all because I'm feeding my pride, my ego. Like, all of it is like a form of idolatry. You're all idolizing yourself. You're all idolizing this gift. You're all idolizing, well, this person is doing this and everybody loves him, so I'm going to try to do that too. And then you wonder why you're burnt out. You wonder why you do drink all the time. You wonder why you do feel like no one loves you. Like, and it's just this over and over and over again. And in my case, I had an unbelievable, like, this doesn't make any sense at all, gift with my mom and my wife. And then eventually, my body just failing. Like, taking it to the point that, like, man, something's not right. Doctor, emergency room, doctor, and hey, if you don't stop what you're doing, you're going to have cirrhosis of the liver. And you're not even 35. And that's, I mean, it's a kick in the butt, and you just, like, for some people, that's what has to happen for them to understand. Like, you can't save yourself. No one's ever been able to. And, you know, a lot happened, like, after we got married and leading up to all of that. But, like, it was all under that same Like, go to work hard, make money, pay bills, live for the weekend, ignore these things that I don't like about myself, overcompensate by doing the things that people like me doing, and then the next year comes around and I'm just going to do all that again. You know? And the default became this stuff. Like, right around middle of college, my grandpa was sick, and we all kind of knew there's not a lot of time left. I was constantly driving back every weekend to hang out with him, sit on the porch with him, whittle on a stick, like just any little thing. And then so once he passed away, I had a buddy that I was working with that was going fishing, and I was like, dang, I haven't gone fishing in forever. Like, I stopped doing anything outdoors, and I started fishing again. And every time, dang, that time Grandpa and I, man, when we went camping, like every time. And it slowly started like intriguing me, like, instead of just going out and parking and fishing at this pond, like, go wander off for a little while, and then you find this creek, and then, oh, it's getting dark, you got to come back, and then next time I'm gonna get there earlier, and I'm gonna go see what else there is, and then go hunting with a buddy, and then, like, man, I forgot how much fun this is. Like, it's quiet, it's peaceful. Like, the stuff in my head and the things that I don't like happening between my two ears are like, turn it off. Why? I'm going to keep doing it. And
so the woods,
man,
and bushcraft became therapeutic for you, really.
Yeah, even before like that term, like I did, like I started going, like I started trying, like, getting my buddies together to go camping, because I used to do that with Grandpa, and it was always fun. And hanging out around the fire, and we can cook meals around the fire and drink and tell stories, and I could bring my guitar. And it was around that time that I'd seen on BBC, I'd seen a Ray Mears show, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, this guy does this for a living or something. Like, this, what is this? And so I would like write stuff down, and by now, like, I'm married, and we're still in DFW, but like, I was finding places, like little pockets, to like go and just wander around out in the woods. And now I've learned some of this stuff, and of course I could only see it when it would come on our bunny ears that we just plug into the wall. We didn't have money for, I didn't even have internet. I didn't have internet for a long time. Like, the whole time I was engaged, I was living in this rundown, like, $420 rent apartment in a really bad area. Like, my whole bills total was like $420. Water, electricity, rent. Couldn't afford internet. I had a really beautiful dog that was my best friend, and I'd just go wander out in the woods with him. And so I would wait, and there'd be like a month that would go by, and then all of a sudden I'd see him on TV again. And like, so then at the time too, well, Facebook was already a thing, but back when Facebook was created, I was a freshman, but you could only have Facebook if you had .edu. It was only for college students, a way to communicate. And I'd kind of stopped doing that, but there'd be random things like here and there that people would like something, or, leave a comment or whatever, but it was nothing like what it is now. No videos. No one knew to post pictures of what you're doing on your daily life. But what happened was, shortly after this Ray Mears stuff was going on, is when Man vs. Wild came out with Bear Grylls. And a lot of people aren't a fan of it, and you'll see especially nowadays, like people making fun of it and whatever, but I thought it was super cool. Like, I wasn't worried about, is this reality and is he being safe? It was just, I knew it was just entertainment, and it's some guy doing crazy stuff in the woods. And every once in a while he would show you something that was like, dang, I want to try that. Well, between the two of them, there was something that I saw with Flint and Steel. And within that week of me messing around with Flint and Steel or trying to figure out what it was about is when Dual Survival came out.
Okay.
And now there's 3 sources that I can like look for stuff.
So you've got these 3 kind of inputs. You've got some community and some fellowship in the woods with some friends. You've got some alone time with your dog in the woods and some secret spots in the DFW area.
Yeah.
And all that's kind of getting stirred up.
Yeah. And then when it all broke open was, and it's really weird. It's like a specific thing. Nothing else has like happened like this for me. Like, certain artists will be like, when I uploaded this song the next day, things happened. Like, for me, it was like within a week's period of time of seeing something about Flint and Steel between one of those 2 guys, Dual Survival coming out, and an episode of them doing Flint and Steel. And then I remembered, like, man, I do it for everything else, but I've never done it for this. I'm going to put something I'm going to type this in YouTube. So when I typed in Flint and Steel, I think there was like maybe 4 videos that came up. And one of them was this guy sitting in front of a fireplace, and his channel name was Grider Wolf, and his name was Justin Wolf. And he was going over these different steel strikers and how certain ones would throw sparks better than others. And he explained everything that I was curious about. Like, what do you mean you can bang these things together and there's somehow fire? Like, and he said, in the description box below, there's a link to my Facebook group.
Come on.
I clicked that link, and it was a Facebook group called Wolf Customs. Joined it, and I'm just obsessed, man. Like, I'm just looking at all the stuff that people have posted. And there's like, I see him in there, Justin Wolf posting all this stuff. He makes incredible leather. They're sharing knives. There's people sharing stuff about packs. There was a guy named Joe Mobley that was like doing this challenge with people where he would mail like an item, and then you tell me what you can do with that item. There was a guy, Travis Henry, that was showing like bow drill. Larry Roberts was in there showing stuff. I mean, like, it was insane. And also around the same time, I found out about the Pathfinder Learning Center group. Joined it. So now I have these 2 Facebook groups that I didn't even know that's what Facebook could be used for. And I have these shows, and I have these places that I can go and try this stuff. And I like hours a day, all day long, whenever I could, after work, every time I could, I was going and doing stuff. I started getting books. I would go to Barnes & Noble, and I would get magazines and Books A Million. Like, it was an obsession. At the same time, shortly after those 2 Facebook groups, someone had posted something about Bushcraft USA. I was like, what is that? Go and look it up. It's a private forum. And there is unbelievable stuff in Bushcraft USA. Like, they had a whole at-home self-study program.
Wow.
That you could do this stuff that they would print out, like it was a curriculum, and then you could turn in photos, and there would be someone that would like grade it and tell you what would be easier. Man, I would suggest trying it this way, and it was just the coolest thing ever. And there was a sub thread on there called Texas Bushcraft, and I started talking to those guys on there, and they were like, hey, we're having a gathering near San Saba. And the guy that was running the Texas Bushcraft section on Bushcraft USA, his name was Big Jesse. That was his username. And he's like, this place is in a river, but it's a huge island in a river. And in Texas, if there's water on both sides of the land, it's public land. It can't be owned. It's in the river. And he's like, it never floods. Like, it's super high. And that's my little, there's a whole thing, like your sit spot, you know, where you go out and you practice your skills and find your little spot. So I drove down to San Saba. One of the guys that was in Wolf Customs that was doing Kydex work at the time was going. And I was going to get to meet him in person for the first time. And it was like, literally, you sound like an old person now, but like, you're meeting these people online.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you're crazy. You're going to meet people online. And I met them off the side of the highway, and we parked our vehicles. We walked through the water and got up onto the island. And that was the first time that I was ever instructed on anything. There was a guy there named Mark Suter who taught me hand drill. We did a whole plant ID walk. It was amazing.
Wow.
And so I started uploading stuff to my channel. And then I found out about other events that were happening, like the Pathfinder Gathering once a year in Ohio. And I wouldn't stop talking about it. And so my wife surprised me and bought me a ticket and was like, you get half the renewal and I'll pay the other half. Went all the way up there, drove solo by myself, not knowing anybody, and met people up there, camped next to some guys that, like, I've still to this day, I called him on the way here. And he became a big mentor. His name was Jeff Courtney. He became a big mentor for me, taught me all kinds of stuff. It became this thing, like, I would go out a week before the Pathfinder Gathering would start, and I'd camp on his property, and we'd run trap lines, or we'd all kinds of stuff. And it was a community.
Yeah, there it is.
Like, it's a place that you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're known. And you're invested in.
Yeah, man. And it's not going to stop. And there's other people that are like, not that it's competitive, but there's other people that you're like, I want to learn how to do that too. All right, I'll show you. I'm now in a position where I'm like, man, I was a, middle 20s age kid that was getting into this stuff, and here I am about to be 40, and I don't want kids to like feel the way that I felt. And you don't have to have expensive stuff to have fun. You don't have to worry about whether someone's gonna watch what you do and like what you do for it to count.
JB, it's the redemption of your story. From the skill impartation of your grandfather to the kindness and the care and the grace of your mom, and you finding your way, and then finding a community where you're seen and known and accepted and where you belong. And now you're talking about, how do I do that for the sake of others? How do I give away what I've received? And how do I ensure that other people don't have to experience what I experience because I'm here?
Yeah. And for years, like, the motto that DBU, the college I went to, had, I just thought it was so stupid and would just ignore it and make fun of it and just never cared for it. And now I realize, like, them saying, like, we want to make servant leaders, like servant leadership, like, here we are.
Yep.
Like,
well, no one becomes a leader until they've been a good follower and you have so many people that you've just shared who have led you, and
Yeah.
you have followed and learned from, and you don't become a servant without going through a great deal of suffering that then gets redeemed.
Before I was sober, like, or trying to maintain sobriety, like, there was so many people I did wrong. There were so many choices and so many ways that I acted at events like this, or at classes, or online, that you can't make amends with everybody, and not everybody wants it. And you can't fix these things that are no longer you. And I don't want to have regrets and let that creep in and become something that beats me down again. But I also know that that's not who I am anymore, and that's not what I've been saved from. Because there's tons of people that I could just rattle off, and I could name, and not all of them like me anymore, because I was a jerk, and I was a drunk, and I was an idiot. But I also know those things that I learned from them that I still use now or teach other people is a way for me to continuously say, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, and I'm trying to be better. And I want to be better. I don't want to be that way anymore. I want to know that it's okay that I can't fix myself, and it's okay that I'm not the best, and that I don't have to have everybody love me and want me and need me, because that's not my identity. And that's not my purpose. And I'm going to fail every time if I do that. And all it's going to do is cause me to just default back into the things that I don't want to do. I wasn't changing the stuff that I was doing at home. I had medical issues, and I had to get sober. And around that time too, I started having different people in my life telling me stuff about God, telling me stuff about Jesus, telling me about what happened to them. And I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of, like, ignoring it, and I've never given it a fair shot. I've never tried to let it sink in. And one of those people was Dave Holliday. And he looked at me and he was like, I think you shouldn't go anywhere to any of these things without your guitar. I think it's a really sad thing that you're just keeping that to yourself when you know that's a gift that you've been given. Then that, like, stung me, because no one had ever told me that. Like, that means a lot more than, like, someone saying, dude, you played that really well. I love that. A few months have gone by that I've been sober, and I think that allowed me to hear God again. Like, my ears are listening cleanly. I'm no longer numbing out that small voice. And I'm playing music a lot now at home, and my wife's like, this is who you used to be.
Yeah.
And I just slowly started seeing that, like, my faith and the way that all this stuff works with skills and bushcraft and the materials, like the way that the woods work, like all of it is connected. And, you know, simple things like, why does it feel so good to be outside? Well, it was our first home.
Mm-hmm.
We've lived outside a lot longer than what we've lived in boxes that are
That's
climate
right.
controlled.
That's right.
If you do believe, you were created from the dirt. Your body needs certain minerals and certain things to keep going. Like, those things are found in the dirt. Isn't that ironic? Like, why does the quiet and the stillness of the woods just stop everything in your head? Well, lots of people would retreat to the wilderness in hard times.
That's right.
And a really important guy went to the wilderness a lot. And I'm still, like, really struggling with not wanting to drink and not wanting to do that, but I'm also feeling the things that I used to feel when I was younger again. And these things are happening to me that I don't, like, I know I don't deserve. Like, I was I'm like, at this point, I'm now, like, in my life, I was now affiliated with LT Wright, and they brought me on board to do stuff for them, and other people would want to, like, collaborate or would reach out to me about, you know, it just was like this community was, like, brought back around again, because I wasn't self-isolating. I wasn't, like, doing these things to myself and in a mindset of where I was. And I'm now, I'm thinking differently again, because I'm not numb. Me continuing to stay sober and me continuing to try and not default back to that, and then also listening to the people that were pouring into me, that were encouraging me, felt way different than everything else had before. Things were just feeling better and getting better, and I'm slowly starting to just be vulnerable and talk to people about it, and even to the point of, like, sharing stuff and posting about it. And I would post something and just, like, oh, I hate that. Like, you look stupid, or someone's, like, they're going to stop following you because you're not who you used to be. And in 2024, I get a text, or it was on Facebook, and it's from Josh Yin. Hey man, what have you been up to? I didn't realize you live in Flower Mound. You're down the street from me. We should get together and get coffee. And I talked to Jessica about it, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like, I know Josh has just continued to serve and was working for a really great church that Jessica and I used to go to, and now I can see that he's a part of a church plant and a pastor of his own church. But I did it and met up with him for coffee, and he was like, man, me and another guy from the church are working through a book that I think you'd really like, and we meet up on Wednesday mornings, and if you're interested, you should come. And a couple of weeks went by, and I just couldn't get it out of my head, and I went, and it was a book that I'd read a long time ago, but I definitely needed it. And what was supposed to just be like 2 months ended up going from February till now. My wife and I went and visited the church in Easter, and we really liked it, but we were both still really hesitant to go because she also had a lot of church hurt of some really, really hard things that happened in our church, and leadership not handling it the right way, and also feeling burnt out like me. And we couldn't ignore it though. And yeah, we started going in November last year before the holidays, and joined and became members in May this year, and it's been wonderful. And that alone has just been a source of just peace and love and energy that I don't get from this. Having a family at our church and having a community that's outside of this has been a piece of the puzzle that I never knew I needed. It doesn't mean that everything's better, and it doesn't mean that everything's okay, and that my life's amazing and I don't have any problems anymore. Like, if anything, it's harder. And it feels like I have more problems because I'm aware of them. But I don't feel alone. There's multiple things now in my life that I can have help from, I can have encouragement from, and then ultimately that just steer me towards the source of it all, which is my faith and my belief that, you know, I need a savior.
Such an amazing story, Jonathan. And to hear the confluence of the people that God used to shape your life and the calling that's come out of it, and the gifting that has been deposited and trusted to you, the heart that you have for the sake of others, the pain and the suffering that you have and are working through, and the experience of community and being seen and known, and underneath it all, your identity,
Man.
and your purpose. And you can have calling, and you can have gifting, and you can have contribution, but if your identity and your purpose is off, everything else is going to be off.
Yeah.
And what I'm celebrating with you right now, bro, is but for the grace of God.
Man.
Your identity and your purpose. I'm thinking Ephesians 2:10.
Man.
That you are God's masterpiece, his poem, his workmanship, his handiwork. Like, he's on you. He's not letting go of you. He's working and forming and shaping, never giving up, never letting go. You are God's masterpiece, recreated in Christ Jesus. Like, you're not done. He's not done with you. Like, you are a work in progress.
No, and
that he sees and he knows and he loves. Like, you bring the Lord so much delight. You be you, the masterpiece that God has created and redeemed you to be. And that's where life is. That's identity.
even if you're the same age and someone sees this and someone's watching this and they're hearing all this, like, just because someone knows that Jesus saved them and they're trying to live with that, and they're also trying to continue to allow him, it doesn't mean that everything's okay. Like, there's stuff that I still have to work through, and I still have to be saved to.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I am of a sober mind, that I would not be able to deal with if I wasn't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in my past that I do have conviction about, and I do need to work through, and I do need to lean on someone at my church or my wife or a friend to work through those convictions that just a year ago would have never been on the forefront of my mind. Mm-hmm. Or just 2 years ago even. Like, because someone that is struggling with substances accumulates so much that it doesn't just go away when you understand what Jesus has done for you. And I think that's part of the lifelong work of sanctification. That, like I said, it doesn't mean that I'm not still hurt, or that I don't have days where I don't like myself. It just means that I know I have someone greater than me that can get me through it. And it's not a bottle, and it's not someone's approval, and it's not my mom praying.
It's a little bit of your mom praying.
Yeah. Oh. But that's something that for people that see this, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I was misled for so many years growing up that, man, you just ask Jesus into your heart, and you do this and that, and you just try to be a good person, and your life's going to be okay. And
not really the gospel.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
It's not. When everything else just continues to fail you and let you down, and it doesn't work, and you don't know why, like, those men didn't die horrible deaths because this stuff was fake. You know, they weren't burnt alive because this was mumbo jumbo. Some of them were horrible people that the Lord used and redeemed and saved. And I know I'm one of them. Not because of what I've done or what I will do, but because of what Jesus did.
Yeah. I'm really honored, Jonathan, to know you, and I'm really honored to hear your story. Thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for listening, man, and encouraging me.
How can people connect with you and learn from you and be a part of the story that God's continuing to author through you?
On all the social media stuff and internet stuff, I have a presence on as a Bearded Burton.
There's a glorious beard, by the way.
It wasn't always. I try to stay, pretty consistent with all that stuff. Throughout the year, I do a lot of teaching with my buddy Philip Liebel, who has primitivewildernesssurvival.com. I try to do a lot with him, and because I just love his heart, and he's an incredible, skilled person, and I learn a lot from him. I had my website for a little while, thebeardedburton.com, but it's since gone down under reconstruction. That should be getting back up here soon.
Okay.
But yeah, for right now, any of the social media stuff, YouTube, all of it.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook is all Bearded Burton.
Mm-hmm. and I'm on TikTok too. I don't
Okay.
do a ton on there, but shoot me a message and questions or just anything that you want to share. That community is a huge thing, you know. That's a really important thing. So, yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you, brother. And you've got a place at my campfire anytime, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you,
Blessings,
man.
yeah.
Thank you, man.